Hey, welcome to Everything Cannabis. This is Kenny. I'm the head of community at Cannabis Warehouse Australia and Everything Cannabis. First off, I want to say welcome to the very first video of this page, of this channel. It's taken us about 30 to 45 days to really get going here to figure out how we want to approach this content. So I really think you guys are going to like this. Now, initially, when we first started creating this content, I had to do a lot of research. I had to do a lot of planning, writing. And then once I started to record the videos, something didn't feel right. And it didn't feel right because I felt like with something like the cannabis industry, which requires many, many years of research, of learning, of experience, it didn't feel right for me to learn the cannabis industry and immediately recreate content and share it with you guys. Because that to me gave me imposter syndrome. Now, opening up that way allows me to transition into what I'm about to share with you guys today, because what you see in front of you is the start of Everything Cannabis. It's the start and the beginning of a community that we are about to build to help people understand more about cannabis, especially the medical side of this plant. Because I feel like the more that we can learn and educate ourselves about cannabis, the better it is for the industry, the better it is for society as a whole, and the better it is for the stigma, because the stigma needs to be released before something like cannabis, a plant medicine, could be accepted all around the world. So, as you can already tell, my accent, I am from Canada. I come from a recreational market. However, I work in the cannabis space in Australia, and right now that industry is fully medicinal. So, not only do I live in a recreational country, I get to learn the medicinal side. So I'm going to transition here. I'm going to get started. I'm going to get into the next slide to give you guys a little bit more of a backstory because I feel like that's very important. And most of the videos that you guys see moving forward will be along the same format of seeing me, seeing the person that I'm inviting to join us on this content. And you'll also see the slides as well because it'll help us stay structured. With this type of information, I would prefer to stay structured because I'm a very visual person. If I'm not using visuals to guide me through, I can get off course because I overthink. I'm a deep thinker. You will notice that throughout these videos, I am a deep thinker. So I want to make sure that I can provide the best value to you guys as we continue to learn about this industry and apply what we learn so that we can help grow the cannabis industry in the right place. All right. So I'm going to get to the next slide here. So, backstory, just to give you a little bit of a backstory into who I am so that we could properly connect to each other, whoever's watching this. So, I am a Canadian recreational user for 10 plus years. I've been using cannabis, oh man, ever since I got out of high school. And it's something that I've never shared with anyone publicly, let alone online. And I don't really talk about it much because, again, even though cannabis in Canada is legalized, there is still a stigma. If you are someone who consumes cannabis, you will be, well, at least for me, I believe people will look down on you if you smoke cannabis. If you're walking around and you're smoking it, I think it smells good. Some people think it stinks. And once it stinks for them, they look at you in a weird way. So that's who I am. And as an entrepreneur, I've been privileged with the opportunity to meet some incredible people to start in the medical cannabis space in Australia. And this is the path that I've been avoiding most of my life because I grew up being exposed to cannabis at a young age. I don't need to go into details as to how that's possible. You can connect the dots however you want. But I grew up being exposed to the cannabis industry. And growing up, I always told myself that that wasn't the path I want to go down. I always saw cannabis as a negative thing because that's what my parents told me. They told me all the negative things about cannabis and how growing up I should never touch it, I should never do anything with it. Lo and behold, coming out of high school, I started trying cannabis and then I received the benefits from it. I received the benefits so much that I've continued to use cannabis. Now, even though I've been a user for 10 plus years, I barely know anything about cannabis and how it actually helps me. And that's where the curiosity comes from. And that's why I'm so excited to record and share this type of content with you guys and learn with you guys. All right. So, the third point here, as you can see, living to my values and accepting truth. which is me actually loving cannabis. I've never had any negative experiences with cannabis before, only positive. And I want to see how I can share that with you guys by doing the proper research, learning what I need to learn, and communicating that with the audience so that you guys can go out and make your own decision as well. Because I don't believe in the stigma that is placed on cannabis over the last few decades. I think it's a bit unfair. It was done through greed by the government or those who are in charge. And I'm interested to dive a little bit deeper to understand more. And the more I can understand, the better I can create an impact in the industry, starting with Australia and then internationally. So, more on the company and the business that I'm working in afterwards. But all of this, everything that we're sharing with you, everything that we're creating together here will help grow what we're doing. And I hope that you guys could be a part of that journey as well. So, going on to the next one here, values, which is health and wellness, right? Cannabis for me, I chose to consume cannabis because I believe it to be a better alternative to a lot of the pain and anxiety that I feel. I'm currently someone who experiences chronic back pain. I've got chronic back pain for majority of my life now, and so far, cannabis to me has helped reduce inflammation and it's helped alleviate the pain. How? Well, that's for me to research and find out. I don't really know how yet, but I know it helps me. And that's the problem with being in the recreational market is that with recreational, being from Canada and being from the US where things are legal, I can easily walk into a dispensary. I could buy whatever cannabis I want to buy as long as I'm above the age of 21. And they don't really educate me on why I'm consuming what I'm consuming. How is this actually helping me besides the description of what you're telling me on the product, right? So in Canada, in North America, we've completely dismissed the medical benefits of cannabis. However, in Australia, it's completely the opposite. Cannabis is still illegal, and the only way to get cannabis in Australia is through a doctor. The doctor has to give you a prescription. You take that prescription, you take it to the pharmacy, and the pharmacy will prescribe you with a medical product. That's the legal way of getting cannabis. Obviously, there's still the black market way of getting it from, dealers or whoever you know, but that's not the path that we're talking about here. We want to make sure that we properly educate people, educate myself even on cannabis so that it is equal and available to everyone over the coming years, over the coming decades. Okay. So the values for me there is health and wellness. I would prefer to choose an alternative method that isn't man made to treat my conditions or uh, whatever problems I'm going through. I'd rather lean on an alternative treatment over big pharma any day. So those are my values there. I care about my health. That's the reason why I choose to consume cannabis. And I want to learn more. I want to learn more about how I'm taking care of my health, how I'm using cannabis to optimize myself. And if I could properly communicate that and share that with the audience, well, you guys will be more informed with the choices that you make. So the next point I want to go through with you guys here has to do with the vision. The vision, at least what I see with cannabis and how I would like to see cannabis unfold. Obviously, on our team, we have several other team members as well. Each of us share the same vision. However, we interpret it a little bit differently. Today, I want to give you my interpretation and how I see it. So, the questions I've been asking myself are the following: how different would the world be if people fully understood the health benefits of cannabis and didn't rely on big pharma? Because there are health benefits of cannabis. Research is coming out, there's data coming out, there's a lot of clinical research happening proving the efficacy of medical cannabis, but yet people don't know that. So I want to be able to share that with the world, share that with my team, share that with our community, so that people are more informed when they're going out there to make these type of decisions. Because if people truly understood the benefits of cannabis and they used it the right way for themselves, they would heal, they would get better. Uh, but each of their own, right? This is the path that I'm going down. I'm seeking to discover what works for me, and that's why I have these questions. So I have here as well: what happens if there is no black or white market for plant medicine? The polarization of illegal and legal has created a supply and demand in the market, and it's also created, um, I guess, unfair laws across the world. You can walk into a country where cannabis is deemed completely illegal, and you can go to jail for many, many years. Whereas now in Canada and the US, you don't go to jail for that unless you do it illegally in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how that happens, but it's really good to understand those type of restrictions and see how we could bring it together as one. There's no more black or white market. It's just one market, and that's something I've been thinking about a lot over the last few months working in the industry. The next point here is why are there restrictions on the balance of nature? What do I mean by that? The reason for my question there and the vision that I see is that cannabis is a plant, right? It grows naturally outside. If you go anywhere into the Middle East, Pakistan, Australia, even, you have cannabis growing outside naturally. That's where hemp comes from. So, what reason did the government have to place these restrictions on something that is natural? So, that makes me think. So this last point here, right, it makes you think why the system is designed the way that it's designed. Why is the cannabis industry the way that it is? Why is it so polarizing between countries? Why is it so polarizing between society and individuals and how people talk and perceive about cannabis? So those are the questions I have, which leads me to the purpose. This purpose will expand over time, but I wanted to keep it simple for myself so that I could commit to it properly. And then you guys can hear the passion in what I'm doing as well. So, the first purpose, number one, is to find a solution for myself regarding chronic pain. As mentioned early on, I've been experiencing chronic pain for most of my life. And the only thing that I've seen that has helped me tremendously is cannabis, whether it's CBD oil, THC oil, something that I can use to reduce inflammation. That has been helping with my lower back. The second thing is that once I've learned these things and I'm constantly learning about them, I want to be able to share my findings and experiences with you guys. Because again, the more educated we are about cannabis itself, the better it is for the industry and the better it is for society as a whole. So the opportunities that present themselves through doing everything cannabis here this way is the following. I have the opportunity to heal. People who watch this have the opportunity to heal. You have the opportunity to heal by hearing information that you may not have heard before, or you may not have gone out of your way to find for yourself because, well, if you simply go into Google and you type in benefits of cannabis, it's the same thing being shown over and over and over again, and that's all text. I want to be able to give you guys the real-time information that I'm learning at the moment. And because I'm in the industry, I want to be able to share with you guys the developing side of the industry as well. Not only will we talk about uh, the recreational side of cannabis, we'll talk about the medical side, we'll talk about the industry, how it works, all of the organizations involved within the industry. So I want to be able to share that with you guys because that's where you get to opportunities 2 and 3, which is to learn and to educate. Everything we're doing here is to learn, to collaborate, to talk about it, to share with each other, and then to educate each other. So, points number 4 and 5, all right, to collaborate. Gary Vee mentioned this 4 years ago, and he said it quite well, and his predictions in business are never far off. Okay. He said this 4 years ago. He said, in the cannabis industry at the moment, there are a lot of hucksters. Hucksters to him, in Australian terms, are cowboys. There are people who are in it just for the money because maybe cannabis is popular and that's all they want to do. They want to see how they can get that quick win to make as much money as they possibly can. However, that's not our approach. That's not my approach. Here at Cannabis Warehouse, here at Everything Cannabis, we believe in collaboration because collaboration, conversations, working together to build an industry, it goes beyond making money. It goes beyond making money because through collaboration, there is a stronger mission and a stronger purpose as to what we are doing. Through collaboration, we know that we will be able to help the people who need it most. And those people are the people who are consuming cannabis to feel better. Okay. And if people are in it just to make money, they're in it for themselves. They're not really there to serve the people. And that's who we are. We're here to serve the people. We're here to be of service to you guys. We're just a group of dudes who happen to love cannabis, and we've got a lot of knowledge, combined knowledge, and we just know how this industry works, that we've come together to build what we're building here. We're building a community so that everyone could win through cannabis. Everyone can benefit through cannabis, just like how I've been able to benefit from this plant. All right. So collaboration is a fucking important thing. Pardon my language, but collaboration is really important. Last but not least, the fifth opportunity is the opportunity to create a new approach to healthcare. This one hits home to me. This one, I believe, is where my legacy will be as an individual, is that I'm someone who cares about my well-being. I care about my health. I put a lot of time, energy, and invested a lot of pain into improving my body, because we've all got one life, right? We've all got one life to live, and our body is so important. It's our temple. It's the thing that gets us through the day. It's the thing that helps us achieve the goals and live the life that we want. So why not figure out a way to optimize our body, right? Cannabis is one of them. Cannabis has been a medicinal plant for centuries. We've just been hidden from that information. Ancient Egyptians, ancient China, all throughout Asia, the Philippines, even I learned, use cannabis as a medicine. However, now it's deemed as an evil drug for most people. So, changing the approach to healthcare, we're going to do that by properly educating people. How do we educate you guys on things outside of big pharma that they're constantly pushing down our throats, giving us a temporary band-aid only to make us feel better? That's not for me. Okay. I do my best to stay away from big pharma as best as I possibly can. I'm not anti-pharma, but if I had a choice, I would not get my hands involved with that. I would rather find alternative options like cannabis itself. So those are the opportunities there for you guys. That's the backstory here. And I just want to spend a few more minutes. Okay. Try not to take too much of your time, but as I mentioned here, this to me is the most authentic way I can do this and communicate with you guys. So I'll go to the next slide here. So who is this for? I think this one is really important because we want to make sure that we are speaking to the right people. So there are 5 groups of individuals that would benefit greatly from what we are sharing here on Everything Cannabis, and what type of people I know I can communicate and connect with easily. So the first group would be people who have been a recreational user like myself for many years, and now they want to learn about the health benefits of the plants they are consuming. After a while of consuming the plants over and over again, guys, you have to start asking the question, right? How is this actually helping me? Am I actually benefiting from this plant, or am I just being an addict? For me personally, all the work that I've done, the work that I've done in business and for myself, cannabis has played a huge role. And I want to discover how. How is it actually helping me? What aspect of cannabis is helping me? Am I even consuming it properly? Okay. So the second group of individuals that would benefit from this would be people who have an interest in the plants but never talk about it because of what others may think. I believe I would fall into this group as well. I've always been interested about cannabis. However, the stigma and what culture and society says about cannabis, you tend to stay away because you don't want to be judged. I still hold on to this fear. Recording this video just like this, I'm fearful of posting it because I don't know what my network would think. But the only way to get over that fear, the only way to get over that stigma, is to start to have the conversation. Start talking about it, being okay with it. Heck, I live in a freaking legal market. How am I still not okay with talking about cannabis publicly, right? So this is what I'm doing here. I have an interest in the plant. I used to be afraid of talking about it because what my peers would think, what my family would think. Now I'm saying, screw that. I love cannabis. I've benefited from it. I'm in the industry working in it already. Let's start talking about it. Let's start learning about it and actively sharing what I'm learning with other people. So if you fall into that group, you're in the right place. Group number 3, people who may have a medical condition and want to discover new methods outside of first-line treatments like pharmaceuticals. I mentioned one of my values early on. It's health and wellness, right? So there are people out there today who do have a medical condition and they're being treated by their doctors. They're being treated by big pharma. However, what if there's another alternative out there for you? Are you even aware of it? So by creating this content, we want to make sure that doesn't matter who you are, what you're going through, there are alternative options out there for you besides pharmaceutical drugs. And that's really what's driving me here, is to create a new approach to healthcare with the team here. The fourth group would be people who are in the healthcare space and want to better help their patients by learning about medical cannabis. Whether you are a physiotherapist, a chiropractor, anything in allied health, over time, you're going to get patients who come up to you. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about medical cannabis? Do you think I should be using this? And sometimes, most of the times, these healthcare professionals, they don't know the answers. And if you are one of them, you've come to the right place. We want to make sure we give you the right information that come from actual sources, actual facts. We'll be inviting experts on, doctors and researchers on as well. We want to make sure that we equip you guys with the right information so that when patients do ask you these questions, you are prepared. You can go back to your patients and guide them in the right direction. Okay. Last but not least, people who work in the cannabis industry and share a similar vision, mission, and values as us and want to contribute to the growth of the industry through collaboration. Mentioned that earlier. This is an opportunity to collaborate. If you are in the industry and you're looking for someone to collaborate with who share good ethics, good values, the intention of wanting to help patients, you've come to the right place. This is where you can meet like-minded individuals, collaborate with them, and really create a change in the industry through cannabis. As ironic as that sounds, as crazy as that sounds, that is true. Okay, so that's who it's for, guys. So it doesn't matter which group you fall into. If you believe in the benefits of cannabis, if you believe in the future of this industry and what it can do to help people from all around the world, you've come to the right place. All right? This is the place to be. I'm going to do everything that I can to foster and grow this community. And I'm going to be as honest and truthful as I possibly can to you guys because, like I said, I'm learning all of this from the ground up. I may be working in the medical cannabis space, I may be working in the industry, but I know very little about this industry. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with accepting that as the truth. That just means I have a lot to learn, and that's exciting to me. And if I have a lot to learn, I have a lot to share. So I hope you guys join me on that. All right, so to wrap this up, guys, real quick, final slide here, what to expect through everything cannabis. So when we are approaching this content, I'm always asking myself, what do I want to learn? Because if I ask myself what I want to learn, it will be easier and more authentic for me to share publicly with you guys. Because if it's in flow with what I am actually interested in, I'm not going to struggle with creating content. Okay, so that's what you can expect. What you can expect are the things that I'm actively choosing to learn, and I'm sharing with you guys along the way. So we're going to talk a lot about the plant, the biology of the plants. We're going to talk about the different type of products in North America because I can talk about that. If I was in Australia, I wouldn't be able to, but because I'm from Canada and I reside here, it's fully recreational and I want to dive deep into the different products. We'll also talk about the companies that are involved in the industry. I think that's the missing piece, right? When you think about cannabis, you tend to think about the dealers on the streets. You tend to think about doing things illegally, but cannabis is legal now. And it's really important to understand the different companies that are out there, what they are doing, how they're actually contributing to the industry. So I want to dive deeper into the different companies in the industry. The next one here is you're going to learn about how the industry works. I'm going to be diving deep into the industry, whether you're from Australia, Canada, the US, the UK, Germany. I want to learn about the different countries and how cannabis works around the world, because the more that we learn that, the better it is for the industry as a whole. And of course, the most important one and the boring stuff, but it's critical if you're in the space, okay? The varying laws and regulations around the world. Every country is different. Canada, cannabis is completely recreational, it's completely legal. Australia, still illegal. Only way to get it legally is through a doctor with a prescription through a pharmacy. So, along the way, as mentioned, we will also be inviting cannabis experts, researchers, and doctors to share their knowledge and experience. Can't learn this all by myself, okay? Have the opportunity every day through what we're doing to speak to doctors. We have the opportunity to speak to researchers and cannabis experts. So why not invite them on here for them to share their knowledge, their experience, their findings of this plant? And the more individuals we can invite on here, uh, the bigger of a community we will build along the way. So to end this entire video off, I want to make sure we put a disclaimer out there. This disclaimer will go out every single video because it's really important that we put this disclaimer out there. Otherwise, people are going to come at us. Okay. So disclaimer, the information shared is for educational purposes only. I repeat, the information shared on Everything Cannabis is for educational purposes only. We're not here to promote or sell you anything regarding cannabis products. That's not who we are. We're product agnostic. We want to make sure that we give the information to you, and then you go out there, do your own research some more, and make the decision on your own. So everything shared on here is not medical advice. It's strictly information. It'll be medical advice if we actually invite a doctor onto here and they provide you with the advice. But everything that I'm sharing, everything that our team members are sharing, we are not doctors. So the things that we share is not medical advice. Okay. So we advise that if you plan on using this plant for medicinal purposes, please go speak to your local general practitioner, your local doctor for more information, and they will be able to guide you in the right direction. Even though I'm a recreational user, I can go out and get cannabis on my own. I am not a doctor. What I share, the experiences that I go through, is for me and me alone, and it's my own personal opinion. So make sure to go out there, speak to your doctor, speak to your GP, because they are certified to give you the right information. So that's all I got for you guys today. It's a little bit longer than I expected, maybe a little over 25 minutes here, but this is Everything Cannabis. This is who I am. Gave you guys a little bit of a backstory as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Obviously, there's a little bit more information as to how I got started in the cannabis space, which I will share with you guys in the near future. But this is where we're at. This is Everything Cannabis. This is the place to learn about education on cannabis recreationally and medicinally. And this is where the conversation starts. Everything we share here, completely the truth, because I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to sell, as Alex Hormozi would share. And I look forward to having you guys join us on this journey as we work towards creating an equitable ecosphere for all who wish to engage in the cannabis industry.